lighten the mood a little bit and let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you. Okay. Nobody's going to join me. Okay, I got you. So, as you all can imagine, fibroids has a grave impact and can have a serious impact on your sexual life and intimacy. And I think it's so important that this is another thing that we talk about, because fibroids and sex is another topic that we don't talk about as much as we should. And they're all down there in the same area. So it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that they could have an impact. So I want to talk about the pleasure and the pain of sex. And I'm going to toss it to Brandy to kick it off.
Well, hello, guys. Now, I would say, it's, part of my story is that I didn't tell. I was in a serious relationship when I first found out that I had the fibroids. But like after reading so much, after my mom's reaction, I didn't want to tell the guy that I was with that, hey, I have these things. So, I really just skated over the surgery, skated over everything, and endured some painful sex. But it really wasn't until after my surgery, I had surgery in April, then September rolled around and I would have this breakthrough bleeding because I was on the continuous birth control. And then the breakthrough bleeding started to last for some weeks at a time. So again, like I said, I'm in Texas, Houston. It's hot in October, and I'm sleeping in a full onesie in bed, like with my boyfriend, because I still have not told him about fibroids and about how this bleeding, and I don't want to bleed on his bed, or I don't want, like, it was just so much of a mental thing, or I don't want to tell him that the sex is painful. So I'm just there suffering, and as you can imagine, trying to hide my face and my facial expressions, just because this is something that, again, there's no handbook. How do you explain to somebody that is supposed to be bringing you pleasure, like, that really hurts, or I really don't want to do that, or I'm not sleeping in this onesie because I'm anemic, I'm sleeping in it because I don't want to ruin your bed. Like, that takes all the fun out of sex, like, to have those conversations. And so, on a side note, after surgery sex is a different beast. But back to pre-surgery sex, it's just so many things that I wish that, we could just talk about and just be honest with and be like, listen, this hurts. I don't know how long it's going to hurt for. I don't know, maybe this angle is better than the other. Like, it's so many different things. And I mean, I don't know, to the married women, do you guys have these same conversations, or is it get better? That's all I want to know.
Whew. So, marriage. Well, I mean, even honestly, post-marriage, pre-fibroid surgery, I can just be honest and say that actual intercourse just was never fun. Like, I could have had a V8. I say that in jest, but also being honest. I could have had a V8. And I wonder, no, in all seriousness, I wondered, was painful sex a symptom that was worthy of treatment? Like, I would bring it up, but I never really pushed on that. And so now, being a little bit older, being married, being on the other side of like years of experience in the medical world with this, I see now there is a little bit more conversation about painful sex as something that really needs to be taken seriously. But when I was in my 20s, I just thought it was something that I kept to myself. And like Brandy said, you keep your face closed because we know that men have egos and we know we don't want to hurt them. But yeah, pre-surgery, it was like, I mean, I guess this is cool. And I remember talking with girlfriends. This was more so in my 20s before marriage. I remember talking with girlfriends, how we girl talk about not anyone in particular, but you talk about how you enjoy sex. And I just didn't have those same experiences. And you kind of feel like, is something wrong with me? So I bring all that up just because I'm glad now that we are talking about it here. And I hope that more folks talk about it because it's something that it's important, right? It's not like just some side, oh, if we can get to it, we can get to it. It's a very important part of our lives. So kudos.
And I also want to bring up to especially the women that have been on the extended birth control or the YAS or the birth control, the low estrogen birth control, not only the painful sex, but the dry sex, because a lot of people don't talk about that either. But when you're on all these different medications or when you're on this, where they don't want any estrogen getting into your body because estrogen, the fibroids grow from that, then it causes like dry sex. And then you're young and trying to buy lube or trying to figure out like what works, or do you need to get the O shot, which is $1,800, by the way. I just think there's so many things. This just affects your life in so many ways that I don't think we don't talk about enough. And so I'm sorry, I'm passionate about it.
And we appreciate your passion, and you bringing up that YAS piece made me think about, so far we've hit on kind of the physical components of it, but then there's also the hormonal part, right? Like your desire to even have sex is affected by your hormones, which can be tied back to the fibroids and everything else that might be happening in your body at one time. So you've got a double whammy. Not only does it not feel good in your mind, you'd rather be just chilling in bed with a book. And so it can be really difficult.
Yeah, that's so important, because when I think about the hormonal piece, I think about being married and, like I was talking about earlier, having to interact and converse with somebody every day. And, when I was single, I lived alone. And if I didn't want to call nobody, I didn't call anybody. If I didn't want to go out, I just told my girlfriends I'm not coming. But when you're married, you're constantly thinking about the emotions of someone else and how your actions can impact them.